To the UK now, and Britain's Prime Minister says she will not allow human rights legislation to impede her government's efforts to stop terrorism. Theresa May says Saturday's attack in South London shows that terrorism is evolving, and she says she wants to make it easier for authorities to deport terrorist suspects. Anne Barker has our report.
British authorities are yet to formally release the names of 2 Australian women killed on Saturday, but the Australian government has confirmed the worst. 28-year-old South Australian Kirsty Bowden was killed as she ran to help other victims on London Bridge. Queenslander Sarah Zelenak was last seen running away from the attackers. The Prime Minister, Malcolm Turnbull, says he has spoken to both their families.
This is heart-rending. This is the last thing that anybody expects to happen to their children when they are in London. I mean, we are facing a global threat. This Islamist terrorism, it is a disease. And talking to mothers who've lost their children is heartbreaking.
British police have now named the last of the 3 men who carried out the attack, all of whom were shot dead. Youssef Zaghba was a 22-year-old Italian of Moroccan descent. He was someone Italian authorities had warned Britain about when he'd moved to England last year. Questions are being asked as to how he could have slipped through the net and carried out such an attack, given what authorities knew. There are questions too about a second attacker, Khurram Butt, who'd featured in a Channel 4 documentary last year called The Jihadis Next Door.
That you may have had someone had an ISIS-looking flag on them.
What's an ISIS flag? Unless someone's hiding in their trousers, then we don't have that.
The 27-year-old was filmed praying to a black Islamist flag with other men in London's Regent's Park before they were stopped and questioned by police.
Don't touch me. Stop for a minute.
Britain's Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson acknowledges there may be lessons to learn for police and intelligence authorities.
People are going to look at the front pages today and they're going to say, how on earth could we have let this guy, or possibly more, through the net? What happened? How could he possibly be on a Channel 4 programme and then committing atrocities like this? And that is a question that will need to be answered by MI5, by the police, as the investigation goes on. I can't answer that question now.
The Prime Minister, Theresa May, has vowed to do more to restrict the freedom of terrorist suspects and deport them if they pose a threat. In one of her last campaign speeches before tomorrow's general election, she's even flagged moves to scrap human rights laws if necessary.
I mean longer prison sentences for those convicted of terrorist offences. I mean making it easier for the authorities to deport foreign terrorist suspects back to their own countries. And I mean doing more to restrict the freedom and movements of terrorist suspects when we have enough evidence to know they are a threat, but not enough evidence to prosecute them in full in court. And if our human rights laws stop us from doing it, we'll change the laws so we can do it.
Theresa May also took aim at opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn, suggesting he's opposed to a shoot-to-kill policy for British police.
I support shoot-to-kill 8 minutes before, and our police officers have taken those terrorists out. Jeremy Corbyn doesn't. And as I say, we will, with the police and security services, look to ensure that they have the laws that they need. He's opposed every piece of anti-terror legislation since he came into Parliament.
Unsurprisingly, security is now a key issue in the run-up to tomorrow's British election. For his part, Jeremy Corbyn has repeatedly accused Theresa May of cutting police numbers by tens of thousands.
20,000 have gone down over the past 7 years. We're saying we'd put 10,000 back immediately and also increase the number of security officers that are available, because clearly intelligence is a very important part of this.
British voters have expressed anger at both leaders for politicising the recent terrorist attacks, saying it's disrespectful to those who died, though many too support calls for tougher security.